In 1969, filmmaker Ray Warner made a documentary, a social commentary and study of the city of Dover. This was made from the perspective of two adventurous young men who paddled a canoe down the River Dour, from which Dover gets its name. It may only be 4 miles long, but this river has witnessed so many changes. Now, 50 years on, we are recreating this film to see what has changed and how this city is facing the start of the 21st century. Here in Temple Ewell we see the source of the river feeding the lake, and some easy paddling for our 21st century adventurers. This lake is almost unchanged since 1969. It is after this that we see our first change. As the river flows down Lower Road, it is now reduced to a stream, sadly impossible to paddle. The river opens out again at Kersney Manor. The impressive building was built in 1898 and changed hands repeatedly, with the owners reflecting the changing face of commerce in Dover. It included merchants, bankers, millers, mail shipping, newspapers and brewing. In 1903, the manor started its links with the church, who used it as a girls' boarding school, then a Catholic guest house, a convalescent home, and latterly a maternity unit. In the early 1980s, the manor was refurbished and a nursing home built on the site, which closed in 2018. We will see what the future holds for this historic building. As before, the river goes underground at this point as it passes into Kersney Abbey, our paddlers again having to carry across the manicured lawns to rejoin the river at another broad open stretch. This lake is where the two sources of the River Dour meet. After the Second World War, this was due to be one of the Riverside Walk, envisioned by Professor Abercrombie, a pleasant 4-mile walk from Kersney to the seafront. His plan was that with vision, courage, determination and faith, and with the goodwill and sympathetic understanding of our friends, the building of a better and more beautiful Dover can and will be achieved for the lasting benefit of posterity. This was agreed with a post-war zeal that saw many damaged historic buildings demolished after compulsory purchase orders. The Abbey itself did not have much brighter future. It was vacated by No. 2 Searchlight Regiment of the Auxiliary Territorial Service and lay empty from 1945 until it was demolished in 1960, leaving only the billiards room to become a tea room. Itself under renovation, extension and modernisation now in 2019. The river then flows through the pleasant residential area appropriately known as River. This area had a number of mills providing work and prosperity for the city, which had closed even before the 1969 film. One has been kept as a museum and function venue, Crabble Corn Mill, in the hamlet of Crabble, which still has a functioning water wheel, although now just for demonstration purposes. We next flow into the village of Buckland, where the original film saw the busy paper mill in operation, working 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, maintaining the tradition of over 200 years of papermaking on the Dour, where once there were 6 paper mills, the final one closing in 2000. The building sat empty until 2015, when plans were put in place to convert it into a residential complex with 300 new homes, a retail space, and riverside walks. At the end of Barton Pass stood Geeson's, where once we saw the production of miniature sewing machines. Now stands the Breakwater Brewery and Public House. This takes the site back to its 16th century roots, drawing water from the spring under the site to produce craft beers. Barton Path remains mostly unchanged over the years. There was the addition of a mural in 2011 created by pupils at local schools. Beyond this saw the heavy industry of Dover, the Gatwick Engineering Works, producing access covers and drains in the heart of the city. Although Gatwick Engineering is still in Dover, its fabrication works closed in 1988. The site was redeveloped as a retail area and now houses the supermarkets, Asda and Morrison's. This area is now, sadly, impassable for our paddlers, with the river diverted under the car park. We now flow into the heart of Dover, past the police station, to another building that has remained mostly unchanged since the original film. Although much of the pomp and ceremony of the Lord Mayors may be a thing of the past, Maisondieu still provides a civic heart to the town and first-rate hospitality with accommodation and function rooms. The earliest parts of the building date from 1203, with extensive remodelling in the 19th century in the Gothic Revival style. From here we paddle past Dover Technical College and under the row of shops on Pencester Road, newly built in 1969. Our paddlers now come to Pencester Gardens. This was devised as a community space, opened in 1924, and the original film shows how this area was a focus of activities in the summer, with flower beds and exotic planting. In the year 2000, a pavilion was erected for musical performances, with a series of flagstones to commemorate 2 millennia of Dover's rich history. Sadly, these days Pencester Gardens seem to hit the headlines for the wrong reasons. We also see the other side of Dover here, with Doverians working hard to battle the seemingly endless onslaught of plastic bottles and wrappers being washed downstream. A new development for Dover is the St James's Retail Park. First planned in 1997, this site opened in 2018. A £53 million retail and leisure development in the heart of Dover, generating trade and employment as the Dour passes by almost unnoticed. Dover's position and significance in this portentous year for the United Kingdom casts uncertainty and opportunity in equal measure. As the river flows out through Wellington Dock past the new Western Docks, we can be sure that the next 50 years will bring change and more new developments, and the river will be there to bear witness.